Welcome. If we can be seated, thank you. What a nice turnout. Come in. Who wasn't here last week? Who wasn't here last week? Okay, so we got I got some announcements. We have, I don't know where they are now. Does anybody have like the syllabus, the schedule? Where are those? Are they in the back? Do you see any, Steve-O? We got some, so make sure you grab one of these. Is there plenty back there?
No,
there's one. So take a picture. Here, Luke, can we have one? Yeah. So if we take this, what you want is the second page. This has the information on the event itself, but this will tell you what we're reading every week. So I'll leave it up here after. If you want to come up here and take a picture, or people probably have these around, make sure you get that. If you have them in here, we have big books in the back. I have pens and highlighters. I don't know where they went. They were up here. Now they're passed around. So if you need a pen or a highlighter, if you need a notepad, we have lots of notepads back there. Steve-O, do we have lots of? Okay. Take a picture of the notepad. All right. This is not a meeting, so we encourage crosstalk. You got a question, raise your hand. You want to challenge something, raise your hand, talk. We hang out afterwards. Hey, Mike, do you know how long we have? Yeah. When do we have to be out of here by?
90 minutes tops.
90 minutes tops. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of time. 90 minutes meaning from 6. Mike, we got to be out by 7:30?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time, maybe the parking lot. Speaking of the parking lot, smoking at the end of the parking lot, please. We will have handouts. We don't have handouts yet, but I think next week we'll have the first handout. Boy, I better put this up. This is, I forgot to put this, sorry about this. This will be my email. If you need something or are going to miss a week and want the handouts, it's pbeckfeld@naplesretreat.org. And I'll put my phone number too. 763-464. I have to say it out loud.
You spelled your name wrong.
Yeah, I can't even see it.
You're in the front row.
Take a picture of that.
All right, take a picture afterwards if you want. Send me an email, whatever you'd like. I mentioned smoking.
You forgot the L in your last name.
Thanks, Marco. No, I didn't. It's someone's birthday today, by the way. Should we sing happy birthday to Lou? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lou. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, we're actually going to start a workshop. You're just here to bask in the glory of my ego.
And Lou. In his humility. We have cake back there, right? Someone brought cake? So I have a piece of cake. Happy birthday, my friend. We'll do the trash. There's not a lot of cleanup because we can keep our chairs in this room. Great. This room is awesome. We can keep it set up this way. We'll have more notepads and more highlighters for next week. Everyone should have a 4th edition of the Big Book. Does everybody have one? We have plenty of those back there. If you don't have one, take one. Go get one. And then you can keep it. If you have one at home and you're just reading along, then just put it back. We're going to pass a basket. Steve, do we have a basket? We're going to pass a basket. We split the money with, you see, we're out of sandwiches, out of cookies. We didn't expect this many people. We split the money with C3 Church. So whatever we take in, half goes to pay our expenses and half will pay for our rent. We want to be a good tenant. So hopefully when we leave here, they'll say, boy, those guys are really good. Then they'll have us back next year even. How about that? So that's it. Smoking restrooms are right there. You can leave. If you got to go to the bathroom, feel free to get up and leave. Want to stretch your legs a little bit. I ask that we try not to because there's a Bible study going on. And we don't want to be interrupting. We want to be a good tenant. So we're going to try to stay here. Okay? All right, very good. So we'll have a good night tonight, I hope. Tonight's an easy night. We should be out of here by 7 o'clock. Everybody have their set-aside prayer? Let's open with a moment of silence, and then we'll say our set-aside prayer. Prayer. God,
Please set aside everything I think I know about everything I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything
So we had 2 assignments, and please participate. This is participation. So on that, we read, for those of you who weren't here, we read through the forward. So we're on the doctor's opinion. And there's a great space in your book, right after you read the forward to the 4th edition, there's this space, and I said to put the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, and then put the 5 priorities in your life. Now, we were talking about what it's like to sponsor someone. And when I sponsor someone, and this is the way I was sponsored, is when I meet with someone, the second meeting is when I start to read. The first meeting is I lay out the conditions of sponsorship to be a sponsee. If I'm going to work with you, this is what I need. If it's going to work, this is what we do. And so if a sponsee has said yeah, then we meet and we read the forwards. And then I say, at the end of the forwards, I say, give me your 5 priorities. And hi, Mike, come on in. Do we have an empty seat? We got one right up here, Mike. So we do the 5 priorities, and that is, I'm trying to engage the newcomer to get them to talk a little bit of something. What are the 5 things you're working on in your life in order, most important, to the 5th? And I shared with you that when I sat with my sponsor, I was 14 days without a drink or a drug, and my top priority was my credit score. And it was bad. It was 380. And then my second priority was sobriety. I got to stop drinking is what I actually said. I just got to stop drinking. And my third was my gin. Anybody know what a gin is? It really was my 3rd priority. You got it. Golf handicap index number. That 2 was like my credit. It was going the opposite of my credit score. It was going up. My credit score was going down. Then my business was number 4, and my family was number 5. I have 5 kids, by the way. So they got number 5 on my priority list. I'm sure they were thrilled. Anybody else? So did anybody do the assignment, first of all? So you ask your sponsor, yeah? Did you do it? Michael, what was number 1? What's number 1? Family was number 1 for Michael. Okay. Anybody else got number 1? God. Somebody put God. Okay. Anybody else got something?
Don't drink.
Huh?
Don't drink.
Don't drink.
That's what I put, don't drink.
Okay, don't drink. Okay? Don't drink. How about number 2 is self? Who put self? Okay, self.
Love thyself.
Who said that? Love myself? Yeah. Remember, you ever hear this in AA? We will love you till you can love yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. My sponsor said to me, he said, no one could love you more than you love yourself. You know what we should say?
That's for men. Women are different.
You know what we should maybe try saying? We'll love you till you can love someone else. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, we'll love you. We'll love you till you can love yourself. It's kind of like, oh, God, I love this meeting. Enough about me, let's talk about you. What do you think of me? All right. You okay, Jeff? You like that one, didn't you? What's number 2 for some people?
AA.
AA, okay. Anybody else got?
Relationships.
Recovery, AA. Kids. Your kids or other kids? Huh? Yeah. Relationships.
Purpose
I'm
in
going to put that for number 3. Who put health? Health? Let's put that 4. I like that one, health. How good of a
Purpose
health
in
are you at
life.
14 days sober, right? Okay. As a priority, I want to be accountable. Yeah, how could you say that? Like,
Accountability.
how about respectable? That sounds like, I don't know. You know, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I want to be accountable because I haven't been accountable for a long time.
Correct.
John?
Paul, I'd have to say spiritual awakening.
All right, that's a priority. Can I make that a priority? I think it could. Okay, I'm going to put spiritual awakening. Okay, that's enough of this assignment. Okay, very good. Because we'll go all kinds of difference. Anyway, here's why my sponsor, and this is why I have men do it, and this is why I think it's vitally important, and it's not in the big book, by the way, but this is something that's really helped me in my life. How am I going to make decisions today? Make them based upon my priority list. So I tell you what my priority list, and then he asked me, and I will ask you, if I looked at where you spend your time, would it reflect your priority list? In other words, if I said family is number 1, do you spend most of your time with your family? Huh? What if I asked you where you spend your money, and then where you spend your talent, your time, treasure, and talent? And it's a decision-making process. So my priority today for Paul is this. It is God is number 1, AA is number 2, Kathy is number 3, My kids and grandkids, probably my grandkids first. Grandkids are number 4, and then my family is number 5, and that's like my mom and my siblings and my mother-in-law Ruthie. My mother-in-law Ruthie might be ahead of me. Oh, my mom might hear that. Anyway, and when you look at my calendar and you look at where I spend my money and you look at where I spend my talent, it reflects this pretty good. And I look at this. So Kathy calls me and says, we haven't had a date night in a long time, and I know Thursday night's your home group, but you know what? We've really been busy. Could you skip the meeting? And Paul, the old Paul said, you know what, I like that. Absolutely, honey, I love you so much. I'll skip the meeting today. And in no time at all, I've skipped a couple meetings, my home group. And pretty soon, I don't even know what my home group is anymore. And so if Kathy calls me and says that today, I said, no, I'm not skipping my home group. I'm not skipping my commitment. I don't skip my commitments. Now, my home group is Thursday night men's big book step study, but now I got to take a hiatus because I'm doing this. So you won't see me at my home group, but I'll still talk to my home group guys. They still know I'm part of the group, but I got to have balance, right? She has to have some time, right? So you got to work it out. So this is part of the triangle. So it goes back to this. For you guys that weren't here, this is the triangle. It's on your medallions. There used to be a circle around it, and it's recovery, unity, and service, which means recovery is steps, unity is meetings, and service is sponsorship. And if I'm only doing, which I did for many, many, many years, was meetings. Meetings mean 10, 12 meetings a week. I heard about a guy today that went to 54 meetings in a week. I thought, that sounds horrible. I don't know about you guys, but that does not sound good. Well, like 54 meetings, holy cow. He must have been dying, right? And I used to do a ton of meetings. I didn't have a sponsor, so I didn't do much service work. I certainly didn't do the steps. I did them off the wall in the meetings, and I had an off the wall program. So today, I take a look at this, and if I go to 6 hours of meetings a week, which is about what I average, I go to about 6 meetings a week. I want to make sure I got about 6 hours in my sponsorship, talking with my sponsor or sponsoring other men, doing step work. And then I do the sponsorship and then the recovery, doing the steps. So I spent my morning, I heard a 5th step this morning. And I didn't go to the morning meeting that I usually go to because I heard the 5th step, and it took a couple hours. I don't understand 8, 10-hour 5th steps, but I know they happen. And for a while there, I would sit for 6, 7 hours and go, you can easily cut this down to 2 hours, and it was a beautiful 5th step, and it was well done. So, things to think about. Lies you hear or miss about AA. This was very helpful to me. I'd gone to Alcoholics Anonymous for 33 years, and I had 14, 15 days when this was presented to me. Here's one. Meeting makers make it. You guys can talk about it too. Meeting makers make meetings. Fair enough? I made a lot of meetings, and I drank after meetings a lot. More meetings, more choices. Few meetings, few choices. No meetings, no choices. What is the purpose of a meeting? We talked last week about what came first, the book or the meetings. Whoa. Most people say meetings. It is the book. The book came first. In the meeting, May 12th, 1939, a guy named Clarence Schneider named us Alcoholics Anonymous. And he said, we're going to call it Alcoholics Anonymous because we're talking about the book. And when people come here, we want to know we talk about the book. So we read last week, the purpose of this book is, and then I said, so we can easily say the purpose of this meeting is. The purpose of a meeting is, and we're going to get, not today, but next week, 2 weeks, we're going to get a lot more about the purpose of the book. We're going to find a lot about the purpose of the meeting. Purpose of meetings, when these guys started meetings, and I know it's different today, but maybe we want to look back at the history, was for recovered alcoholics to share their experience, strength, and hope with unrecovered alcoholics. You did not hear, I don't think you heard, in the years earlier, let's hear from the newcomer. You hear it a lot in the meetings. The other thing you hear in the meetings, a lot, another myth is, they'll say to a newcomer, you're the most important person in the room. Anybody hear that? Yeah, God, let's hope that's not true. Because that guy is probably not going to come back. So if he's the most important, you know who the most important person is in the room? It's me, because I'm a recovered alcoholic, and I carry the keys to sobriety, if you'll allow me to sit with you and share with you my experience. So I'm pretty damn important when I walk in a room. Not ego important, but I carry a message, and I'm looking. When I go to meetings, I do not go to meetings looking to get something out. The purpose of a recovered alcoholic going to a meeting is, what can I bring to my meeting? Who can I sit next to? Who's the guy shaking? Who's the guy shaking? By the way, we have a secret handshake in AA. My name is Paul. I'm an alcoholic. You know, Al-Anon has a secret salute.
Yeah.
No, it's this. NA has a secret applause. You know what that is? Way to go. I thought there'd be a joke today. I didn't know it'd be that one. Really shocked. Trust me, that one goes over well in NA meetings. They get it. I make a choice to drink. How about that myth? You hear that in meetings all the time. I make a choice. That guy chose to drink. A guy died not too long ago, and he has kids and a wife, and my wife's not an alcoholic, and my wife said, isn't that sad he chose booze over his children? And I said, he absolutely did not. He had no choice. How about this, when you go to treatment, you know, what's your drug of choice? Anybody ever get asked that? Have been to treatments? Jacob, you ever been to a treatment?
One,
They ask you, what's your drug of choice?
all of them.
Isn't that a stupid question? If I had a choice, I wouldn't be here. The question is, what's your drug of no choice? What's the drug of no choice? What's the drug that immediately pops into my mind, I know I'm going to use, I know I'm going to drink, I know we're going to read about the doctor's opinion. I want to get to our reading here soon. The only requirement, this is one, A, is for people who have a problem with drinking. If you have a problem with drinking, stop drinking. It's as easy as that. If my problem was drinking, I would just stop drinking. I don't have a problem with drinking, I have a solution. There's 3 solutions to alcoholism. Anybody know what they are? It's in our book. 3 solutions. You know what they are? Drinking? Suicide? God. Yeah. The only requirement to get sober is a desire to stop drinking. You ever hear that in a meeting? They get it mixed up. The only requirement for membership. It is not the only requirement to get sober. I was a member and drinking, and I had a desire to stop drinking, so I was a member, but I was not a member in good standing. We don't drink one day at a time. Our book does not say that. Our book says we live one day at a time. We insist. We insist upon living life fully one day at a time. But the book never says don't drink. Did you know that? The book never says don't drink. Don't drink no matter what. You ever hear that in a meeting? I don't know about you, but I drink no matter what. I have a disease. Do you have a disease? Is alcoholism a disease? Yeah. And that's, you know, we're going to talk about Dr. Silkworth. The word disease is not in our first 164. It's in some of the stories. I have an illness. It's going to talk about how we're sick today. It says I have a spiritual disease. That's the only place you see the word disease. It's on page 64. I have an illness of ill will. It was really helpful to me to have that presented to me. It's Paul, you don't have a disease. I came home drunk once, and the day after, you know, I'm feeling sad, and I just told my wife I have a disease. Anybody ever try to tell their Al-Anon they have a disease? Yeah. Yeah, you're soon to have an injury. You will need medical attention when I get done with you, but the reason why we have a disease is obvious why our founders, Marty, thank you, Marty Mann, was the first woman to get sober in AA, and she was the pioneer that got the AMA to see it as a disease. Why? So the health insurance companies would pay for our detox and our hospitalizations and treat it as if a disease, and therefore we could get some of the help we need. And thank God she did what she did. But the problem is from the treatment centers, then it comes into meetings and people say, my disease is doing push-ups out in the parking lot. What does that mean? My illness is really working. I'm getting messed up here. I'm thirsty right here. I don't have to be out in the parking lot. So, any God of my understanding? Anybody hear that in a meeting? Doesn't say that in the big book. God of my understanding. It's my understanding of God. There is only one God that we talk about in this book. And it's my understanding of God is works. God of my understanding means I can turn Daisy, my dog, into my God. Or the light bulb, or the doorknob, or we get all the tree outside. And it gets very confusing. Group of drunks was helpful to me when I came in. But my sponsor said you can use group of drunks because we're happy and you're not. He pretty much said, your life sucks and our life sucks less. So do what we do and maybe you get less suck. That's what he would say, less suck. And so I did what they were doing. He said, but if you're doing this 2 years from now, it's stupid. But maybe it gets you through the obsession part, to the end of the obsession. Then I'm going to have an understanding of God that is totally different. And that was my experience at about 2.5, 3 years. All of a sudden it was like a light came on. But to say that all these things could be I could turn my life over to my dog. I worked with a guy and his dog was jumping on me and he said, she's my higher power. And I said, sit, and the dog sat, and I said, your higher power definitely should not take orders from me. You're in big trouble. So let's read about, any questions? Anybody else got anything else they want to add to that or argue with that? Okay, good. Let's read about the doctor's opinion. So tonight we're going to read about this guy named Dr. William Silkworth. And what is the title of our chapter?
Doctor's opinion.
Anybody else that's not the doctor's experience? He's a normal drinker. That's why Bill moved, and there's the reasons why, but that's why he's not on page 1. He's going to get the forward, the Roman numerals. And so we'll squash that right now. Do yourself a favor, and on your top of your page, write the number 1, and then go through the 8 pages and give it a page number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That way then when you're working with, or I'm working with you, I can say go to page 5, which actually holds the key to my illness. Go to page 5 and let's read that paragraph, and then you don't have to go through X, I, X, X, E. There's no E, is there? There's no E. I can't spell my own name right. So let's read. This guy's name is Dr. William Silkworth. He's a psychologist. He's a PhD, or an MD, an MD. And it's the depression. And he can't find much work in the depression. So he ends up at a place called Towns Hospital, which is operated by Charlie Towns, and it's a for-profit hospital specializing, he's going to tell us, in alcoholism and drug addiction. And it's basically a detox. And he's working in the detox. He's doing things with guys that are working. He's working with hard drinkers, and they're stopped drinking. But there's this group of real alcoholics that nothing that he does works with them. So we're going to have Chase start to tell us about what the doctor's opinion, he's going to read. And the first paragraph is not the doctor's opinion, it is Wilson introducing the doctor. So we hear a couple times from Wilson, and you'll notice the difference in the way Wilson writes versus Silkworth. So go ahead, Chase, take us off.
The doctor's opinion. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery
The plan is the 12 steps.
described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of the type I had come to regard as hopeless. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others.
Isn't that interesting? So he uses the word, Silkworth uses the word must. He's talking about his meeting with Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson comes to him. This is his third treatment, his third detox, and he's going to have a spiritual awakening inside the detox. And what Bill does is he starts to immediately, he has a different change of thought process. He's not going to, here's what Silkworth is baffled by. Wilson no longer renounces drinking. Instead, he gets a contrary thought, and the contrary thought is work with others. I must be able to help other alcoholics who have suffered like I used to. He's 3 days sober, and he wants to tell his story to other guys. He has a contrary thought. The obsession to drink has left him. And so Silkworth is baffled by this, how this worked in him. And that's why Silkworth is so drawn into our program for this group of men that simply drink no matter what. Keep reading.
This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance. Because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, they may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, William D. Silkworth, MD.
Thank you, Jay. So what he's talking about, when you go back to this second paragraph, he talks about this hopelessness. and it is no human aid. So he talks, in 34, I attended a patient, Bill Wilson, who though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of the type I had regarded as hopeless, a real alcoholic. So he couldn't get through with him the first 2 treatments. And the definition of the hopeless that he's using is this no human aid. I try to medicate him, I try to sit and counsel him, therapy them, I try frothy emotional appeal. He tried the first time Bill comes there, he tries knowledge. He talks about, and we're gonna talk about this, an allergic reaction. Bill, maybe you have this allergic reaction once you put alcohol in you. We're gonna talk about this allergy. That you just, once you start drinking, you can't stop. So what you gotta do, Bill, is you gotta understand you can't have any drinks. So Bill leaves the detox, goes, that's it, man. And once I start, I can't stop. Then Bill comes back because he's drunk again. And then Silkworth basically says, you're going to die. And he tells his wife, you're going to die. So he says, fear is going to sober him. We're going to read this next week in Bill's story. So fear sobers him for a while, but guess what? He comes back. Now he's really baffled. And furthermore, Silkworth says, lobotomize him. That was an option for us. Do a lobotomy. Or just wait, he'll die in DTs. Yeah. It's where they went in and they took away your compulsive thoughts, your impulsive, compulsive thoughts. So you kind of stared out the window and drooled. But you know what? You don't cause your family any more problems. Yeah. Okay, Liz, this is where you read. I'm sorry about that. You're baffled. Okay, so here's Wilson again. Because guess what? He's not happy with the first letter. So, we're much more than that.
You want me to read his
Yep,
second
now
letter?
you're going to read this letter. Yeah.
Okay,
This is
so we're
from Bill.
skipping all the stuff in between.
You're going to start off with the physician who.
All right.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
The physician who, at our request, gave us this letter, has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe.
What does that mean? Suffer alcoholic torture. He's not talking about the drinking, and he's not talking about the hangover. He's talking about that period before I drink. I can't drink. Please, please, God. I'm driving to a bar. Please give me 2 flat tires. I didn't, the choice. I have a choice to drink. I can remember that night. I was like, you know what? Give me 3 flat tires. I'll probably figure out how to fix 2 flat tires. 3 flat tires, I mean, but that's what he's talking about. It's just, my obsession is a torture on me. Okay?
That the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or were outright mental defectives.
Those were the things he was telling the hard drinkers.
These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent, with some of us. But we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete.
So Bill is talking about the first half of the first step. I admit that I am powerless over alcohol. The first step does not say, don't drink, or I can't drink. The first step says, I will drink. And the first half of the first step says, I don't drink normal. I have an allergic reaction. I believe, and my experience is now after working with many, many men, is that some people were normal and hard drinkers and became alcoholic. But I know for me, my first drink at age 12 was a Jack Daniels, shot of Jack Daniels, and I absolutely know it was an alcoholic drink because I got sick, I was in bed, I put my foot on the floor to stop the room from spinning, I've thrown up, I've embarrassed myself, and my foot is on the floor, and I can't wait to do it again. And that's true in every man I've ever worked with, that they have stories very similar to this. I can't wait to do it again. By the way, I'm 50 years old, and I'm laying in bed, and my foot was on the floor, and I was trying to make the room stop spinning. And I was sick of it. 38 years I'd been trying to make a room stop spinning. Okay.
The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may of course mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account.
Allergy is defined by an abnormal reaction to a normal substance. Alcohol is a normal substance. What's the abnormal reaction?
Craving.
Craving. More. Can't stop.
Excessive, yeah.
Yeah, anybody else, I'm sure somebody in here has an allergy. Anybody allergic to bees? Bee stings? Good. What happens when you get stung?
It swells up.
Swells up. Do you have an EpiPen on you? What do you think when you see a bee?
I go the opposite way.
You go the opposite way, yeah. Do you ever play with beehives? Yeah. Do you ever dress yourself in honey and go out and torture them? Yeah, no. Yeah, because you don't want to have the abnormal reaction. Yeah, your life isn't, I know a guy who got stung when he was out on Lake Michigan fishing. Got stung out on lake, he was dead by the time he forgot his EpiPen. A bee was on the boat, went out with him and stung him, and he didn't make it back. Yeah, but you don't sit and put your hands in beehives, do you? So the abnormal reaction, the first half of the first step says, any amount of alcohol in me, I crave. I can't stop it. It triggers it. I am not going to stop until the room is spinning. And then I'll still drink some more, by the way. I ain't going to stop till the booze is out, the money is out, or I pass out. That's it. Those are the three things that are going to stop me from drinking, the least amount. So the question is then, why would you pick up again? Why do you go put your hand in a beehive? Right? Why would you do that? Of course you wouldn't do that. So that's why our loved ones go, why are you drinking? This never works out good. Okay. Abnormal reaction. I crave more. I drink more. I cannot stop. Okay?
All right, though we work out our solution on a spiritual as well as an altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached.
So he's given us that sponsorship advice. If I'm working with a guy and he's still drinking, I do not talk about spiritual. You want to go to detox. What can I do for it? Can I take you to detox? Can I call an ambulance? I've had to call ambulances. I've had to call doctors. I've had to, but I love taking people to detox. Anybody here do a 12-step call lately? Anybody know what a 12-step call is? Yeah. We don't do them as much anymore. I love a 12-step call. That's when you go see a wet one, usually. Maybe it's I had a 12-step call on the way over, a phone call. The guy hasn't drank in 4 days. That's a 12-step call, but the 12-step call I really like is a hotel room.
So you go see a what?
12-step, a wet one.
What is that?
He's drinking.
Drunk.
Yeah. I never understand why. I've never once called anybody sober to come talk to me when I'm drunk. That seems like a party killer. This guy isn't going to be very much fun. Abby does that. We're going to read about Abby doing the first 12-step call. Abby does a 12-step call, and Bill Wilson. We go, and I got to praise, like, I'm not going to talk about the solution. I'm going to talk about detox. Can we get you detoxed? What's it like? What are your DTs like? Can you get through them? I've DT'd before. I've gone through this, and because his brain must be cleared. I can sit and talk to him all day long about God and what God has done for me, and he's just going to forget about it. Not any good. His brain must be cleared. They think around 28 days for alcohol. For opiates, it's about 6 months. How do you like that? The fentanyl users. It's about 6 months before your brain is cleared. Meth guys, a year and a half. How do you keep a guy off meth for a year and a half before you can really approach him? So it's very, very tricky down here. But alcohol's, 2 weeks to maybe 3-4 weeks. Yeah.
About like we would go to detox at David Lawrence and bring the big book in and share the steps, but the people there are like, what if that's
That's a 12-step call too. That's a beautiful 12-step call. I do it.
But you're saying like we want to focus. Will we want to focus on the spiritual solution, or will we want
Just planting seeds. When I go to detox, or I go to jail, or I go see guys that are kind of, and detox is a good example. I'm just planting a seed. I'm just saying I know what it's like to drink. I leave my phone number. I know what it's like to drink when you don't want to drink. I know what it's like to have the room spin and not want the room to spin. And if you want, but I just tell them my story. Give them my sober date. Maybe they'll believe. We're just planting seeds. Yeah, and I leave feeling pretty good.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I wondered, why did they ever put people in detox for 1 day?
When did they do that?
They die
Yeah.
about the 5th.
Yeah, you die about the 5th. I never heard of somebody going for 1 day.
Oh, that's
I know
how
why,
they-
but it
they
might be
used
1
to
day.
do it.
Their insurance maybe ran out. We get sober pretty quick when the insurance runs out.
They used to put you in for 24 hours.
called HMO?
Yeah, HMO, yeah. Your HMO says you're sober. You're welcome. Yeah, so those are just, I think for me it's really important to meet my guy where he's at, not where I'm at. Meet him where he's at. And if I smell booze, 6:30 in the morning, meeting, a newcomer comes in and, guys, the guy's drinking. You know, I'm not gonna talk to them about a home group and sponsorship and stuff. Let me take you to detox. Let me make sure you're not driving. Okay, keep reading.
All right, so I'm just gonna back up just a tad. It's imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. And then the doctor writes.
Okay, so Patricia, and this, now we're going back to Silkworth, the non-alcoholic, the scientist. Think about the scientist, how frustrating it is to be a scientist working with us.
The subject presented in this book seems to me to be the paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years' experience as a medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction.
So the scientist classifies himself and his job. I am this, and my hospital is this. So he's going to give us, you know, some qualifications, but he's not a drunk.
There was, therefore, a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. With our ultramodern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge.
So he's talking, here's the scientist, and now he's talking about man-made solution versus spiritual solution. And it's very difficult for the scientist to say what he's about to tell us, and that is, we got nothing for you. You know, because the solution is God. You're drinking for something. I do not understand why you guys drink like you drink.
Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital.
That's Bill Wilson.
And while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here.
That's 3 days sober.
And with some misgiving, we consented.
Because Bill's persistent.
The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing.
Amazing, that sounds like quite a word.
The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in his alcoholic field.
I believe he was living at Towns Hospital getting $5 a week in room and board. You think that was, and it's the Depression, so he's got no family. You think he was enjoying? I think he was, though. He kind of falls in love with us. He kind of, there's something going on, and personally, I think God nudges a lot of people, and there's a lot of non-alcoholics that play a big role in Alcoholics Anonymous that keep us moving along. There's a guy named Harry Tebow. Anybody ever read Tebow writings? It's on its way. Anybody ever read Harry Tebow? He's one that worked with alcoholics for a long time, and these dudes started going to AA meetings. They came back to Tebow and said, I don't need you anymore. And Tebow was amazed and started going to the meetings, and he writes beautiful things about us. But please keep reading.
They believe in themselves and still more in the power
Capital P, God, yeah.
which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure.
Detox.
Before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all.
Any form at all. So what does that mean, any form at all? There's a banana back there. Peggy brought in bananas. They're ripe. Did you know they have alcohol in them? It's got a little bit of alcohol, or some sort of alcohol type reaction. How about kombucha? How about you know who non-alcoholic beers are for? Non-alcoholics, yeah. How about mocktails? Mocktails don't have any alcohol in them. But what about that form though, that feeling of a drink, like I drink tonic water. If I'm at an occasion, there's gonna be a toast or something, wedding, dinner, whatever, and I don't wanna have just water, I'll get a tonic water, but I make sure it's in a tall glass. I used to love, when I was drinking in and out and sneaking, I used to love non-alcoholic beers, because I put booze in it. And nobody thought I was drinking, yeah, oh god. Yeah, I got drunk driving with the family in the car stories, like he was just drinking non-alcoholic beers, wasn't he? The only song was Sharps. What about cooking, you know, desserts with liquor in it? What about marijuana? Huh? What about marijuana? Yeah. You know what the difference is between drugs and booze? Drugs and alcohol? I don't either. You know, I cannot, no. Marijuana's never been big for me. But I'll guarantee if I smoke a joint, I will be drinking in no time. I have a choice over marijuana. But what it's gonna lead me to is what I'm craving. I was never a fentanyl or opiate guy. But I'll start taking opiates and I'll end up back in the bar. You follow? I can't safely use alcohol in any form. He's at an alcoholic and drug addiction rehab center. He's a detox. He's working with the drug addicts, and if you go to NA, they tell you alcohol is a drug. You cannot, it's a drug. We're off drugs. Yet we're offended in AA when people talk about their drug stories, but yet our co-founder was taking morphine and drinking. And he's gonna talk on the first page, he says whether you die by musket or by pot. He's gonna talk about pot next week. Did you get that? Was that a little joke? That was not a very good joke. So for me, and for the men I work with, I talk about the antidepressants. I talk about Prozac, Wellbutrin, Seroquel, Trazodone. I love the guys on Trazodone. It's not an opiate. It just acts like one. How about, what was the latest one, the Kava?
Kratom.
No, not Kratom. But Kava Bar, anybody hear about Kava bars?
Yeah.
So dude took a bunch of guys to Kava Bar, and they're all alcoholics, and he's like, it's okay. No, how about mushrooms? You know, at that point I said, what about mushrooms? You know, they're not alcoholic. For me, it's anything that I put in my body, anything physical that I put in my body that will change my brain's perspective of reality. Shot of Jameson changes it right away. No matter how bad the situation is, shot of Jameson, it's just gonna be okay. The problem is I have like 9 more. You know, alcohol is a solvent to my morals. Yeah, I got all these things lined up. I put a couple of drinks in me, I take a pill, and all of a sudden none of that stuff seems to be important anymore. All right, can we keep reading?
And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up upon them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. Frothy emotional appeal seldom
Suffices. Anybody have their Al-Anons? Beg them?
Satisfies.
Please don't drink, right? Please think of, I had sponsors beg me, play the tape through, think of your family. They were hard drinkers sponsoring me, they weren't real alcoholics. Play the tape through, Paul. What's the worst part? You know, when I come in and the family sees me drunk, my kids see me drunk. Well, think of that next time you think of a drink. Like, it doesn't work, I can't do it. Frothy emotional appeal.
The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives.
Beautiful, isn't it? Reborn, he's going to later call it.
If any feel that as psychiatrists directing a hospital for alcoholics we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us a while on the firing line. See the tragedies, the despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become part of their daily work and even of their sleeping moments. And the most cynical will not wonder that we have accepted and encouraged this movement. We feel, after many years of experience, that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men than the altruistic movement now growing up among them.
I think in that paragraph, he's kind of giving us a tip of why he likes us so much. He's getting to know our families. He's getting to know our wives, our kids, our parents, our husbands. I'm sorry, ladies, I know. Right? He's getting to know us, and he's watching some of us die, and he sees the pain, and he starts to see some of us get sober, and he sees the family reunited. And it must be quite a
The other thing you hear in meetings all the time, and you never hear it, 2 times he said the basis of the program is altruism. And we always say God, spiritual programs. It is, but it's an altruistic program. It's
That brings us to the God.
Unselfish concern for somebody else.
Yeah.
You almost never hear about that.
No profit motive. Why do we drink? This was huge for me. I was crying at my sponsor. I go, I don't figure out why. I've blown up my whole life. Why do I drink? Why do I drink? He said, let's go to page 4 in the doctor's opinion.
Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol.
He said, you like it. He said, you like it. Now can we move on? Why do I drink? I like it. It's going to be later on when we get into the inventory. Why do I sin? Because I like it. Huh? It doesn't make it right. Because I like it does not make it right. It means I have a problem. I have a moral issue. It's going to become a moral. We're going to do a moral inventory. Huh? Why do I drink? Because it works. A couple of drinks. The world changes. Everything gets a little easier.
The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false.
I'm delusional.
To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can gain experience, unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks which they see others taking with impunity.
So what is restless, irritable, discontented? What is it called today? Anxiety and depression. Yeah, and I've been diagnosed with depression. And then my sponsor, who's going to take me to the steps in our second meeting, said, you should be depressed, your life sucks. And then he said this. But then he said this, maybe the depression has a job to do it. He said, maybe the depression has a job to do on you, and maybe you shouldn't medicate it. Let's go through it. And I said, okay. I said, okay. Maybe you should be anxious. I had 14 credit cards in my wallet. He goes, anybody with 14 credit cards in their wallet would have a little bit of anxiety.
So I have a question. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, but you said that for someone who was on, was it meth or crack? Or no, meth. It takes a year and a half?
I don't know that to be true.
Well, I thought you said that.
But the readings, when you read about it, about what is the man's brain cleared, the studies will tell you meth is about 12 months to 18 months. I did not do meth, and I don't think I've had any success working with a guy who's trying to get off meth. I don't understand it. And one of the reasons why I don't understand it is it takes so long for that craving to leave them. Any meth guys here? Can you relate? Yeah, so we've got some meth guys. Phil, back there. Take a long time, Phil?
It takes very long.
You still ain't right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's dangerous stuff.
Okay, so what we also know that it injures the dopamine and the dopamine receptors of the brain. You can scan it and see it. So that might be an argument that SSRIs, not Valium, not.
I know what you're saying.
Might be an argument that at least temporarily SSRIs.
That medication might be, absolutely.
Needed, yeah.
And I've never ever told anyone to get off medication. I've never. Absolutely never. When I work with a guy, I say, why don't you go to your doctor, tell him you're going through a 12-step program with a sponsor, it's laid out in Alcoholics Anonymous, and do you think I can get off of this? And you know what most guys do when they come back? After they see the doctor, they say, I didn't bring it up. You know why? Because they want to be on their medication. Yeah, they don't want to go through the depression. It's too painful.
It is painful.
It's too painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy on Wellbutrin. You know what Wellbutrin is? It's like, would not get off it. Absolutely. He's dead today. Yeah, Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin did not kill him. Yeah, Phil?
My experience with the meth thing,
my brain got better and clearer faster when I stopped taking medication. Because I was taking medication for anxiety, depression, and it was making it worse. It made me feel like I was getting high still. So when I threw my meds out and detoxed from the meds, I was actually able to concentrate more. And the depression and anxiety subsided the closer I got to God and the more I did this program.
It's a very,
That's a really interesting point, but I do think we also need to ask what kind of meds.
well, no,
Right?
no,
I don't want to, no,
Yeah.
that's not my point. No, I don't want to discuss it. I'm just making the point.
Yeah, I get
Okay.
what you're doing, Liz, yeah. And so this, you can see, it's pretty controversial pretty quick. Talk to your sponsor. Talk to your
Talk
sponsor.
to your doctor.
And talk to your doctor, please, talk to your doctor. Yeah, thank you, Liz.
The
That's,
one thing I do want to say is that we do not detox ourselves. We
Off any
go to a
medication.
doctor. More people die detoxing.
you're
In
right.
the hospital.
Yeah, okay,
Trying to
thank you,
kill
Liz.
myself.
Thanks. Okay. I thought this
After-
would be a quick night.
After they, after they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful and with a firm resolution not to drink again.
Anybody ever make a firm resolution? That's it. After last night, it'll never happen again.
Every single night.
Yeah. Okay.
This is repeated over and over, and unless this person can experience an entire psychic change.
Okay, he's going to use the word psychic change 3 times coming up, and he's talking about a spiritual awakening.
There is very little hope of his recovery.
By the way, this is the only place in the book where you'll find the word psychic change, and it's written by a non-alcoholic. The alcoholic's going to use things like spiritual awakening, spiritual experience in God. But he's a scientist, so he's got to be a little careful.
On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. The only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules.
And maybe that's the message we bring into a detox, is I can control my desire for alcohol. And then we could leave. I used to not control it. I can control it now. Talk to you later. Here's my number. Call me when you get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on to Ruthie. I'm sorry. I'm paying attention. Ruthie, take us away.
Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, "Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me." Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all that is in him, it often is not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change.
Here's what works on hard drinkers.
Though the aggregate of recoveries resulting from psychiatric effort is considerable, we physicians must admit we have made little impression upon the problem as a whole. Many types do not respond to the ordinary psychological approach.
Real alcoholics.
I do not hold with those who believe that alcoholism is entirely a problem of mental control. I have had many men who had, for example, worked a period of months on some problems or business deal which was to be settled on a certain date, favorably to them. They took a drink a day or so prior to the date, and then the phenomenon of craving at once became paramount to all other interests, so that the important appointment was not met. These men were not drinking to escape, they were drinking to overcome a craving beyond their mental control.
I have a thinking problem. Anybody show up drunk at just the worst time? It's just the worst time, that's what we do. Anybody have a plan when they go in to take a drink? Any planners here, like, okay, I'm gonna drink this, and just drink this, I'll stop at 3. I met a guy, he had rubber bands, he had 8 rubber bands on his wrist, so every drink he ordered, he took off a rubber band. Plan, yeah, who said that? He got to about 3 rubber bands, and he couldn't remember if he's taking them off or putting them on, and then his rubber bands were moving all night. Which hand were they on? Plan changes, I'm a plan changer.
Yeah, I would put them back on again.
Yeah.
There are many situations which arise out of the phenomenon of craving, which cause men to make the supreme sacrifice whether they continue to fight.
Suicide. Now we're going to get 5 types of real alcoholics that he's working with. See if you can relate to which one you might be.
The classification of alcoholics seems most difficult, and in such detail is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course,
Number 1.
the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We are all familiar with this type. They are always going on the wagon for keeps. They are over-remorseful and make many resolutions, but never a decision.
Here's number 2.
There is a type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of drinking. He changes his brand or his environment.
Number 3.
There is the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger.
Number 4.
There is the manic depressive type who is, perhaps, the least understood by his friends and about whom a whole chapter can be written.
And here's number 5.
Then there are types entirely normal in every respect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, and friendly people.
It's important when you're working with people, this really gives an opportunity to talk about their drinking. You'll really learn about your guy if you bring up these 5. I don't know about you, but I'm all 5. I'm mostly number 5, but I can definitely fit into any one of them. But it gives an opportunity for the newcomer to say, oh, none of these, or really you've never had the thought of being, you see what I'm doing? It's probing questions we can get here. And you really will get to know your sponsee.
All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy which differentiates these people and sets them apart as a distinct entity.
We're special.
It has never been, by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence.
Amen. And that for me means everything.
This immediately precipitates to us into a seething cauldron of debate. Much has been written pro and con, but among physicians the general opinion seems to be that most chronic alcoholics are doomed.
That's real alcoholics.
What is
By the way,
I'm sorry.
6.6% of the U.S. population are real alcoholics. 6.6. Yeah, we're special. About 30 million are real alcoholics. Now, if you think about that in your AA room, when you go to an AA meeting, what percentage of my AA room, my AA meeting, is real alcoholics?
You said 6.6% of the world or America?
6% of the U.S. population are real alcoholics. But take a look around the room. I think it's about 40% in a typical AA meeting are probably real alcoholics. We get everybody. Everybody comes. Hard drinkers come. We're really going to talk. Please stick with me through more about alcoholism. We're really going to talk about hard drinker versus real alcoholics and what's going on in AA today. And it's out of my experience because I was going to AA for a long time, hanging with hard drinkers. And we're going to get into that. So please, we're not going to get into it today, but please be patient with me on this thing because it was life-changing for me, and I'd love to share with people what the book did. Okay?
What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating one of my experiences.
This man's name is Hank Parkhurst. Without Hank, you wouldn't have the book that's in your hand.
About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought in to be treated for chronic alcoholism. He had but partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage and seemed to be a case of pathological mental deterioration. He had lost everything worthwhile in life and was only living, one might say, to drink. He frankly admitted and believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain injury.